Buzz YouTube, hopefully y'all are having a good day today, and as you can see from the team preview, I am actually using a Regigigas. Reason why I wanted to use Regigigas is because it's my most favorite Regi, and I've always wanted to use it, so I finally decided to make a quick team around it, and this is actually the Substitute Rock Polish set, which Substitute is really only on Regigigas to allow it to waste the slow start turns, and then be able to get up a free Rock Polish to sweep late game, which is what I'm going to try to do in this battle. But looking at my opponent's team, he has pretty major threats, especially the Tangela and the Musharna, which can take hits for days. But either way, if I'm able to get up my hazards, I should be able to deal with most of his team accordingly and just wear them down. But yeah, I lead off with Golurk as he leads off with Tangela. I don't want to be put to sleep first turn, and because it is so early on in the battle, the most expendable thing on my team is my Regigigas, so I decided to switch that in for Sleep Fodder because I do have a heal belt on my Gardevoir, so I can always go for that later on in the battle and then hopefully sweep with Regigigas. He misses Sleep Powder, then he goes for Leech Seed, I guess maybe predicting me to switch out, but I really have nothing else on my team that appreciates being put to sleep. As he puts me to sleep with the second Sleep Powder, I'm going to pull a double switch out into my Gardevoir, seeing as I can just use Tangela for setup fodder and get up my Toxic Spikes right away, but he makes his own double switch out into Armaldo. Now because the Stealth Rocks is pretty obvious, I decided to stay in and get up my first layer of Toxic Spikes, knowing that the following turn he's going to go for the Rapid Spin, which means I can bring in Golurk, and then in return I will be able to get up my Stealth Rocks, which means I can get off even more damage on this Armaldo as he constantly switches in, because Golurk can easily deal with Armaldo one-on-one. I'll problem the fact that he doesn't carry Toxic, which most Armaldos don't really tend to carry. So yeah, he brings in Tangela on my Golurk, which unfortunately for me, I do not carry the Ice Punch, which means I can literally do nothing to this Tangela but hit it with Dynamic Punch, which even then isn't going to be doing that much damage. So my best switch into this thing is going to be my Garbodor, just because if he is carrying the Stun Spore, I don't want to bring in my Rotom, and I need to keep Rotom around for that Gorbis. He misses his first Leech Seed, which I'm really not too sure how much it mattered, because either way I would have got up my Toxic Spikes. But this turn he's going to be forced to switch out, seeing as the Gunk Shot is pretty obvious. He decides to bring in the Musharna, which actually takes a lot more damage than I thought it would, and that amount of damage from Gunk Shot actually plays a role later on in the battle, and I'll explain it when we come to that situation. But yeah, because the best thing I had to take a hit on my team from this Musharna is going to be my War Turtle, I decided to bring that in. Above that I can Rapid Spin, I have the Yawn so I can force him out, I have Haze if he wants to Calm Mind, and I have Scald if I want to get damage off on it. And then he reveals to me that he has the Thunder Wave, which has me thinking maybe he isn't carrying Calm Mind, so I don't have to worry about this thing using my War Turtle for setup fodder, so I can keep that in my mind for later on in the battle. As I stay in, I want to go for the Yawn so I can force him to switch out, so I can get the hazard damage with Stealth Rocks and be able to poison him again and force him to waste another Heal Bell, which at this point I was really debating if I should stall out the 8 Heal Bells that he does have. But as you're going to see later on in the battle, I don't have to do that, so yeah, don't worry, it's not going to turn into a giant stall war. As I bring in my Golurk, I knew he was going to be fearing the Shadow Punch, so I can go for an Earthquake. On hindsight, maybe I should have gone for the Dynamic Punch, as he did bring in the Tangela. Now he knows that I do not carry the Shadow Punch, which means if I bring in my Golurk on the Musharna, I have to bring it in a point where I know it's going to be low enough to where my Earthquake will be able to finish it off, or I run the risk of him finishing me off with Psychic and then allowing his Armaldo to freely come in and Rapid Spin away my hazards. So I definitely have to watch out for the Musharna. As I switch into my Garbodor, he's going to go for the Leech Seed and switch directly out into the Armaldo. Seeing as Tangela really can't do anything to Garbodor, I can always just use Tangela to freely be able to get up my final layers of spikes. Now, even though the switch out to Golurk is very obvious, I do not want him to go for the Rapid Spin, so I have no choice but to switch directly out into Golurk, as he makes the good play and actually goes for the Stealth Rocks. Now, if he was carrying Toxic, then he should have gone for it, which means I really have nothing to worry about this Armaldo. And because the Stone Edge is pretty obvious, I know he's going to switch out to Tangela, so what I'm going to do is actually go for the Dynamic Punch, and that prediction does help me out, as I'm actually able to get a crit, which I'm not going to lie, really does matter, because now I'm going to be able to wear down this Tangela a whole lot easier. And this turn I switch into my War Turtle basically as Death Fodder. Unfortunately, he hits himself in Confusion, which means he's going to be forced to switch out if he does want to save his Tangela. He's actually going to bring in the Gorbis as I get paralyzed. I was just going for the Rapid Spin, and even if this Gorbis goes for Shell Smash, Timid Scarf Rotom is still faster than Timid plus 2 Gorbis. So really, I got nothing to worry about this Gorbis. As I'm going to bring in my Rotom after he finishes off my War Turtle, I can freely go for the Volt Switch and get rid of this Gorbis. And even if he had switched out for some odd reason, Gorbis was at an amount of HP to where the hazards would have finished it off either way. But yeah, I Volt Switch out to my Golurk. as he switches into the Tangela. I'm thinking Dynamic Punch should be able to finish it off. It lives on like 2%, and then he's going to get a heavy hit with the Giga Drain, and that was really a stupid play on my part. I should have just switched out directly into my Rotom and then gone for an Air Slash or Volt Switch or something and not risk my Golurk taking that unnecessary damage. So yeah, that was really stupid on my part. As this turn I switch into my Rotom, he hits himself in Confusion, which really doesn't matter because he doesn't seem to carry Stun Spore. The only moves he's been going for have been Giga Drain and Leech Seed, and you're going to see that even that little bit of damage from either one of those two moves really doesn't matter whatsoever. So yeah, that turn was also pretty useless. As I Volt Switch on the Musharna, I go down to my Garbodor. I make a very stupid play and go for a layer of Spikes. On hindsight, what I should have done was gone for the Gunk Shot, but surprisingly to me, I actually end up living the Psychic on 1 HP, which means the next turn I can go for the Gunk Shot and get off a bit of damage on the Musharna. Unfortunately, I do pull the crit, which didn't matter, but it doesn't matter too much to the point where it would have changed the outcome of the battle, just because with the combination of Toxic, I would have brought him down to a point where my Golurk or my Rotom would have been able to Revenge Kill him. So yeah, he brings in Armaldo on my Garbodor. I don't want my hazards being spun away, so I bring in my Golurk, and at the amount of HP that the Armaldo was at, I should be able to easily finish him off, but he decides to switch into Golbat, and at this point, the reason why this is sped up is because I'm just basically leaving in my Golurk for Death Fodder, because all I need right now is to get a free switch into Rotom and lock myself into Thunderbolt to be able to win this battle. But I actually get a crit with Earthquake as he went for the Roost, which means my Golurk is still going to be around. But either way, I'm just going to leave it in for fodder as he goes for the Braviary with Braviary. Even if Braviary was Scarf Rotom is still faster than it, so I can just finish it off. And his last two, which are Tangela and Armaldo, will easily be taken out by my Thunderbolt, but he just ends up running, and that's going to be the victory in my favor. So yeah, I didn't get the sweep with Regigigas, but it was still a very fun and enjoyable battle, and hopefully you guys did enjoy as well. And if you did, like, comment, and subscribe as you please. Make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. So with that, I do believe I am out of here. Later.